Simons, talking about the two things you're never supposed to talk about: religion and politics. That's what this show is all about. We won, by the way. We won. At least on the political side of things. The religious side of things, I think there's still a whole lot more clarification and discussion to happen there because we're in very perilous times right now. Yeah, we won the election, but will President Trump ever even be allowed to take office? Will he actually ever sit in the Oval Office again? That's a very real question. I want you. My guest, by the way, today is Sheriff Richard Mack. Nothing but admiration for this man. And he asked me right before we started, how much time are you going to need from me? Instead of bragging about why he had a limited amount of time, I asked him, well, do you have another pressing engagement? Because you give me 2 hours, I'll go 2 hours with you, sir. But he goes, well, I got Steve Bannon. I'm going to be on in about 50 minutes. I'm like, oh. The fact that you did my little old show before you go on the War Room with Steve Bannon, who's got war stories of his own, I'm very impressed. Thank you, Sheriff Richard Mack. He's going to be on just a second, but I wanted to remind you of what was happening 4 years ago. This was, I do believe, orchestrated, encouraged, paid for by people who wanted to see Donald Trump never get reelected. I really believe that this was what this was all about 4 years ago.
Overnight, growing national unrest. In New York City, dozens of looters seen kicking in windows and breaking into stores across Midtown Manhattan. Macy's iconic flagship ransacked. Reports of fires set inside. The chaos coming after a day of peaceful protests across the city.
Anyone coming to Manhattan with the intent to take advantage of people during this very difficult time, we are going to ensure that we do everything that you are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
In Seattle overnight, a face-off between protesters and police escalated.
Fullest extent of the law. By the way, Sheriff Richard Mack, first of all, welcome to Do Not Talk. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show. Was there any follow-through? Were any of those people ever arrested? Were they ever charged with anything? Any of them?
They only do that at January 6th. You know,
exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah.
Patrick Whale is a friend of mine with Freedom Riders 1776 up here where I am in Northern California, is going to prison, sentenced for 6 months because he happened to be there on January 6th. Right. But yet all these people, they got footage of, they've got DNA evidence. There were murders that happened during these riots. Right. As far as I know, nothing's been done.
No, they won't. Nothing happened at Portland or Seattle or New York or Chicago. I mean, what really happens at Chicago every weekend? You know, they don't do anything.
Good point.
You know?
Good point. You served honorably as sheriff in Tucson for many years when you decided, okay, I'm going to hang up the gun belt and the star, or pass that along to the next sheriff. You had this idea that your fellow sheriffs all across the nation, and they don't realize the power they have as an elected law enforcement representative. So you started the Constitutional Sheriff and Peace Officers Association, the CSPOA. As soon as I found out about it, this going back to 2020, I was like, brilliant. He's right. They don't even know, his own fellow sheriffs don't even know what they have in the gift that they've been given by being an elected law enforcement representative, the only one.
Yeah. Well, uh-oh. Oh, I thought you scared me there a minute. I thought you were frozen.
No, I'm sorry. I should have followed it with a question.
Yeah.
Explain, please.
Well, one correction. It was near Tucson. It's about an hour and 20 minutes from Tucson, but it's Safford, Arizona is the city where I grew up, where my dad was an FBI agent for about 25 years. And the county was Graham, like graham cracker. And it's a small community, 40,000 people, 45,000 people or so. But mostly it was my hometown. And I was truly blessed to be sheriff for 8 years. Then I got voted out. I lost my third election. And it was all because of this little thing here.
What is that? Supreme Court case for state sovereignty?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I sued the federal government, and I was the first sheriff in American history to launch a major lawsuit against the Clinton administration. But in 248 years of the history of America, I was the first sheriff in American history to do that. And I'm proud to say that. But this whole thing was a miracle. It totally inspired. And the only thing I did that was unique was that I answered the call, because this was not my idea. I would have never thought to do this, but look, I'm a religious man and I'm a prayerful man, but I don't get these kind of signals very often. Maybe 3 or 4 times, 5 at the most in my entire life. And one other one was when I met my wife, and I wanted a confirmation that she really was supposed to be my wife, because one is just about everybody was against us getting married. She was too young.
Oh,
When I met her, she was only 16. I literally proposed to her when she was still 16. We got married when she was 17 and a half. And she was still in high school. But I think she wanted to do that because she needed help with her homework. So I was always helping her with her homework.
and how old were you at
That's
the
all
time?
a true story.
How old were you at the time?
22.
Okay.
And I fell in love with her as soon as I saw her. I would have never married her. If somebody, hey, go dance with her. And I go dance. Hey, I really like that girl, but she's only 16. I would have stopped it right there. But no kidding. But this was meant to be, and it was supposed to be. And then it was meant to be that I sued the federal government, and that's what I was supposed to do. And then, though I became a big fish in a small pond, and everybody said, oh, he's going to lose and he's wasting his time. And I agreed. I never thought it would get to the Supreme Court, but it did. And it was like 9 months after I lost my re-election bid. And I kind of looked up to the Lord, and I'm kind of going, I feel like Retevian in Fiddler on the Roof. I'm going, I did what you asked me to do.
What? What do you
Yeah,
want?
why did you take my job from me? I love this. This is my favorite job in my whole life. And my wife gave me the answer. We're supposed to go on to something else. And that's all there is to it. And she was very inspired, very, very much a soulmate, and very in tune with what was going on. And she was right. Since that time, I've written 8 books. I've been to every state in the union. I've done presentations in 48 states, formed the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, done over literally thousands of interviews, been on every major network in the world, including Japan, Australia, London, Canada, probably a few others internationally. Oh, yeah, I have. Univision and Telemundo, and I guess they liked it that I spoke Spanish. But all of this came down to really my wife making the decision. Because
Well, I appreciate your wife, because she's the one that was instrumental in getting you on my little old show.
Yeah, she's my scheduler too.
Thank you,
So
Don.
yeah,
Thank
and
you.
she's just been so wonderful on this. But to go back a little bit, when the Sheriff's Association of Arizona Sheriffs had a meeting in Phoenix back on January 21st, 1994, and this has been a long time now.
Bill Clinton.
The case came out June of 1997, and so it's been over 27 years. But in a lot of ways, it's like yesterday. But this is a highlighted version of the case, and so I studied the case for days, and I put the highlights in here. And everybody in your audience, everybody on the show, everybody within the sound of my voice right now, you need these. You want these. I guarantee you want these. And it fits right in your shirt pocket or fits in your purse. And you should buy dozens of these. And look, there's no markup. I'm not making any profit here, okay? This is $2, and you can get 3 for $5. And you should be getting dozens of these so you can hand them out to local officials, your sheriff, your county attorney, county commissioners, city council, your friends, so that they know what the Supreme Court decided. The most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the, no, go out, close the door. There's my little grandson interrupting here. So this is the most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the history of America. And it proves once and for all that the federal government is not our boss. Quite the contrary. And Scalia, Justice Scalia, wrote the decision, and he said that he was going to take us through a history lesson. And indeed, that's what he does. And he quotes the Federalist Papers. When was the last time a Supreme Court decision quoted the Federalist Papers and the founders? And let me give you one quote real quick. Federalist 51, Scalia said this: hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. The different governments will control each other. Will control each other. That's our job as sheriffs. That's our job as states. And that's our job as we the people.
A constitutional sheriff, which is what you are encouraging every sheriff to be, to actually know the U.S. Constitution and their own state constitution,
Yes.
spells things out beautifully. That's your rule book. That's your law book right there.
It is.
And we do have the U.S. Constitution was written beautifully to provide us with rights as states, United States of America. So you're still, let's say you're still sheriff of Graham County in Arizona. And the federal government says, we're going to come in and we're going to take everybody's guns just because that's a bad area. And we had a couple of incidences. So we're just going to take everyone's guns. You, as a constitutional sheriff, you can't control the state, but at least your own county, you can say, no, you're not. Is that right?
Yes, it is, absolutely. And Charlie, quite honestly, hundreds of sheriffs have already done that the past 10, 15 years. The first one, there was over 550 sheriffs who stood up against Obama when he wanted to enact more gun control after the Sandy Hook murders and slaughters there. Anyway, that makes me sick. But so he's going to, of course, initiate more gun control because that's going to keep our schools and our children safer. You know, so this is the idiocy of that, but it's the lawlessness that as long as they're doing something for our own good, or that they think that, they can do anything they want. They can destroy the Constitution, they can destroy the Bill of Rights, and they can destroy the principles upon which America was founded.
For our safety.
Oh, yeah, for our own good. It's for our own good.
It's because they really care. They really care.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so 550 sheriffs wrote a letter to Obama and said, we're not going to tolerate you coming into our counties and making criminals out of law-abiding citizens. And so they stopped it. The sheriff stopped it. And then again, just under Biden a few years ago, all 29 of the 29 sheriffs in Utah and many others across the state, but the only one that had all 29, all the sheriffs, 100%, was Utah. And they sent a letter to Biden saying, we're not going to allow any gun control in our counties, which means the whole state, because they all signed. Even the liberal female sheriff from Salt Lake County, she signed it. And I'm so shocked because she's very liberal. She's very leftist. And I guess she wanted solidarity in the state, but she didn't want to, she didn't want to see the attempt from the federal government to go door to door taking guns.
It's been done in England, now Australia and Canada, and
been done in Chicago too.
Well, yeah. And the results of it has been catastrophic for all those areas. You want to make sure that you're going to be targeted at your particular institution by some nutbag who wants to make a statement. All you have to do is say, yeah, nobody can have guns in here, because they're cowards. And they're not going to come in there with guns blazing if they figure any one of us has a gun that we're going to blaze back.
Well, you know, and I'm even thinking of that. Second Amendment was my specialty for a long time. Now it's all the Bill of Rights, but of course I specialize in the 10th Amendment because that's what I sued the federal government on, and that's what we won on. And 6 other sheriffs joined me, and I'll be eternally grateful for that. And Sheriff Prince from Montana and I ended up at the Supreme Court together on this most miraculous case. But imagine, now you kind of reminded me of this. Imagine everybody right now that you're in a bank and a couple of guys come rushing in there with masks on and bags, tell everybody to get down, and somebody doesn't get down, so they start shooting a few people. And they said, now, if you're going to stay safe, do what you're told, and then we won't have to shoot anybody else. Or now, okay, that's what happens. Now, imagine this. Which one would you prefer? That everybody's disarmed, nobody has a gun, and everybody just cowers and so please don't shoot me, we'll do whatever you say. Or on the other hand, this is what reminded me of it. 90% of the people, as soon as they come in, go and they draw down on these guys, and there's 50 people in that bank, every single one of them, including tellers and the manager, all draw down on these 2 thugs. Guess who wins?
You just got neutralized.
Guess who? Yeah, exactly.
That's a
The
show of
good guys
force.
just won.
Yeah.
And it's more likely that nobody will be hurt whatsoever. Most of the time, when you need to use a gun, all you have to do is brandish it. That's all you have to do. Show it. And everybody calms down. It has a huge calming effect. Now, folks, tell me which one you would prefer. Yeah, okay, I don't want everybody walking around with a gun either. But that's their choice, not mine.
It's our constitutional right.
When somebody's using a gun in the grocery store or they want to do a mass shooting or whatever in Walmart or wherever, I don't care. It's happened in Walmart before. Which one do you prefer? That 90% of the American people there all come to your aid, or that everybody sits there and cowers and hopes that these thugs are more user friendly? Okay. But you know what? And Charlie, let me add something to that. Let me tell you. The right to keep and bear arms has nothing to do with any safety statistical analysis. Okay, all that sounds good. And I prefer that. But when it comes right down to it, it matters whether or not what you're doing is against the law. And folks, gun control in the United States of America is against the law. And nobody in government has the authority whatsoever, none, to tell you what kind of gun you own, how much ammunition you have, or that they can take any of your private property, i.e. guns, that they can take away your private property anytime they want because they feel it will make us all safer. It's a lie. They know it's a lie. And just like with COVID-19, they can do anything to us they want, destroy the Constitution, destroy our churches, take us to jail if we don't wear a mask, fire us, close down all the stores and jobs, and shut America down, shut our Constitution down, all for our own good. If you trust government that does that, then you are a fool.
And they get away with it because it's the 3% rule.
Yeah.
They get away with it because only about 3% of the population, as in during the time that we, wound up going to war with England to declare our independence and become a sovereign nation of our own, only about 3% of the population ever took up arms and said, okay, let's get this done. And we live in a time now that I think is probably even less than that, 3%, sadly, because so many people are just like ready to comply. Okay, whatever. I don't want any trouble. You want to put that into my arm? You don't even know what's in it, and you don't know how it's going to react with me. That's all right. I'm flying. I've had these airline tickets for a week and a half, and I don't want to miss my vacation. I don't want to miss Thanksgiving meal with the family because the family member.
Oh yeah, that's where we're going tomorrow.
Yeah, well, same here.
But let me also on the thought of constitutional sheriffs.
Yeah.
we have a true scenario. I call it the tale of two sheriffs, just like Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. So let me give you one of the worst times. Sheriff Chronister in Florida arrested Pastor Rodney Howard Brown, who owns a mega church out there. He is a wonderful man. I went out there, went to his church, talked to him about what his sheriff did to him. And he's, oh, I've forgiven him. He's fine, blah, blah, blah. I said, the question isn't, did you forgive him? The question is, did he repent? So anyway, I'll go on with the story. So Sheriff Chronister called a press conference the next day and bragged about how they arrested a pastor for conducting church service during COVID mandates, and that he was charged with 2 misdemeanors. Why would you call a press conference to announce that some preacher got charged with 2 misdemeanors? Anyway, on the other hand, Sheriff Glenn Hamilton in New Mexico had a pastor approach him, and he said, Sheriff Hamilton, I am not going to shut my church down. And I'll tell you why. Because our church is not run by the government. It's run by Jesus Christ. And we will not shut down. I want you to tell me what you're going to do to protect me and my church.
Right.
And Sheriff Hamilton let this go nationwide. His answer was quite different than Sheriff Chronister. That's why I call it the tale of two sheriffs. He said, if it takes me having to go to jail myself, then so be it. But I will do everything in my power to protect you and your congregation. Sure enough, here came the state police to shut him down. And Sheriff Hamilton met him outside and said, just so you know, I have deputized every single member of that church in there. And they are all under my authority, as well as this pastor, and they will remain open. The state police left, never came back, and they never shut down a single minute of a single Sunday ever. And this is the kind of courage and creativity, and this is a constitutional sheriff. And let me ask all of you, which sheriff do you want in your county?
Let's go to those. The footage I showed from the Today Show from 4 years ago. City police were being told to stand down and to let it happen, but they're still county sheriff, and that city is in a county, and so
Amen
really, who's fully in charge of that area, as far as I'm concerned, unless I'm wrong, would be the sheriff, right? How come no sheriff's deputies or sheriffs stepped up and said, this is not going to continue happening in my county?
Well, you have our goal is to have 1,000 constitutional sheriffs. That's a third. That's only a third. So we're not going to get every sheriff. We understand that some of these sheriffs are just going to do what they're told by the Democrat Party or whoever the president is or whoever he wants to get in the cabinet with or anything like that. They're going to follow the Democrat dogma and agenda. But we believe that most sheriffs know that their office is completely independent and that they're going to do the right thing by the people that they are sworn to protect. And that hired him. The sheriff only reports to the people in his county. That's it. He reports to us. We, the people, are in charge of the sheriff. And we have the final say. And he is our ultimate protector. So I understand that we're not going to get them all. And no one should have our pie in the sky thoughts that we're going to get every sheriff. The major city sheriffs are not going to come on board. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, or I said Chicago, those major cities, you can tell they won't come on board because look how stupid they are in running those towns. Those cities are a mess. They're crime ridden. They're crazy. They're bankrupt, and we don't want them. We would love to have them come on board, but it's not going to happen there. But you can get the counties across America. Look at the counties that voted for Trump. Almost every one of those counties should be constitutional sheriffs, and that's about 85% of the counties in this country. We'll take them.
We'll take them.
Yeah.
What's coming? What are they going to do? What we saw 4 years ago, that's just a drop in the bucket, isn't it?
Well, I
They're
thought
going
it would already be here. I predicted that November 6th or 7th, months ago, was going to be a very violent time, which now actually scares me more than it did before. Because look who's here. Look who the Biden-Harris administration have allowed to infiltrate our country. International terrorist groups. They're all here, folks.
by the
Every one of the
tens of
every
millions.
well, how many of their actual terrorists that came in? I don't think it's that big. But you want to know the truth? Neither one of us know how many are here. We know it's in the hundreds of thousands. We know the very minimum is that there's 10,000 here. That should scare you to death. But there's much more than
I've been
10,000.
saying all along, and I want to get your thought on this. I've been saying all along that these people do not have an allegiance to the United States of America.
No, of course not. No.
You know, they will when the freebies run out.
Yeah.
Which
You're right.
state of California is definitely broke
no
over
question.
80 billion. They're going to start just taking away from anyone who lives here. They're going to start taking what they want and what they need, and we're seeing it with these Argentinian gangs and so on that's happening across the country. This is just the beginning, and people keep talking about a civil war's coming. If there's a civil war, it's not going to be citizen against citizen.
Probably not. Probably not, because first of all, there's tens of thousands of Russian dissidents. There's tens of thousands of CCP members and military here.
Communist Chinese Party.
The cartels. Are you kidding? There's tens of thousands of them. They've set up shop in America, just as Hamas, ISIS, Hezbollah, all of the terrorist groups that absolutely hate us and they're willing to die to attack us. They're all here, folks. What do you think they're doing? They didn't come here to roast marshmallows and sing Kumbaya. That's not why they're here. And so I think you're absolutely correct. Something between now and January 8th, I believe they're going to make an attempt to keep Trump out. And the sheriffs of this country have got to be aware of all of this. They've got to be prepared. And we, the people, have got to be involved with our sheriffs. And that's why you want a sheriff who has a posse and that you can get on his posse. And you want to be telling your sheriff, if he doesn't have a posse, that he should. We have the information to help you with that. Sheriff Bob Songer from Clickitat County, Washington, has a proposal for anyone to create a posse in your county. This is legal, it's lawful, it's constitutional, and it's historic facts. I almost said fiction. It's historic, factually proven that this works, and that we, the people, have every obligation to join with our sheriffs and help them keep the peace in their counties. Folks, keeping the peace is going to be a major issue within the next few weeks. I pray I'm wrong. I pray that all of these different groups are going to all of a sudden think that maybe they can't do it. But the intel that we've gathered and the training that I've been to, and other sheriffs have talked to me about the training they've been to. One went to training in Israel about some of this. And folks, the first thing they're going to attack is our grid. So our food supply, our electricity and power.
We won't even be able to get cash out of the bank. ATMs won't be working. Everything will be down. What's that going to like? Or what's that going to be like? What kind of bedlam is that going to create? Everything we have now is electronically run. And if there is no electricity,
including
your
our
cell
water,
phone's not working.
Yeah, cell phones won't work. They're going to attack the water supply and the grid. Tell me what kind of chaos reigns in America when that happens. And folks, those things we just talked about are the easy things they could do. There's three major grid power plants And if they attack all three of those, it'll shut down America. So, folks, let's say I don't know what I'm talking about. It's not going to happen. I pray that that's the case and that we go on. But you know who we're trusting if that happens? We're trusting the greatest enemies to America in world history.
Yeah.
And they've infiltrated our country because of Biden and Harris and the other crooks in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
And for anyone to think that something bad is not going to happen, that's just foolish. Of course, something's going to happen. When? Well, it'll be like a thief in the night, as the Bible says. I don't know when. I'm surprised it hasn't already happened, to be honest. But that gives us an extra little while to get prepared. And we're asking each of you to join our CSPOA posse. You join us, and we train you. Every Wednesday, we have a training webinar to help you work with your sheriff. We train you to work with your sheriff, and this is a vital process. We also want the sheriffs of this country helping with the deportation if we make it to that point. But we still want to plan for that, and you need to be helping with that. Sheriffs need to be helping with that, and we need to have Trump's back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. If we're ever going to see him sit in that Oval Office again.
Oh yeah. Now this was all a miracle, but we've already seen governors and some of these liberal mayors, including the one from Phoenix, saying we're not going to allow Trump to come in and do anything. And our governor said we're not going to cooperate with anything like that. She says we're going to protect Arizonans from being harmed in that way. But she wouldn't protect us during the last 4.5 years.
Right.
From all of this. And so
irony, they're not Arizonans, by the way. They're not even legal citizens.
That's what I was going to tell her. Yeah. But
Katie Hobbs is disastrous.
But we have a great sheriff in Maricopa County now who will take office January 1st.
Good. That's for those who don't know, that's the Phoenix area. It's got the main.
Jerry Sheridan is a sheriff. He's CSPOA. He's constitutional sheriff, and he's a butt kicker, and he was Joe Arpaio's undersheriff for 6-7 years, and he's committed to protecting this county. And he might be sending a message to the mayor of Maricopa County saying, the last time I checked, Phoenix is in Maricopa County. Thank you. Okay, we'll take care of it.
Awesome. And where do we find you? How do we get started with this?
Folks, our website for the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association is CSPOA, CSPOA.org. You can get these books there. I have other books. If you want to make a little donation to me, order my other books. They're great. They're fabulous. The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope. Everyone should have that. The Proper Role of Law Enforcement. Everyone should have that. Are You a David? Everyone should have that. The Magic of Gun Control. Everyone should have that. This is what I'm pushing. This is the best book you can have. Okay,
that's good. You want to order a lot of people I see the YouTube videos where people go, arguing with police officers and so on, saying I'm a sovereign citizen, and I'm seeing those videos all over the place. At least, especially a couple of years ago. That's not what this is about. This is your rights as a resident of a state in the United States of America is what this is about.
I'll tell everybody who claims to be a sovereign citizen. I'll tell every one of them, and I've told my family and friends who've tried that route. Have your driver's license, be very respectful when a cop stops you, and do not make that the hill you want to die on. It's not worth it.
Right.
Are you right? Maybe. We can argue about that another time. But I guarantee you where I'm right. Do not die on that hill. Do not. It's not worth it. We need you out here.
Thank you. And while we're talking about do not die on that hill, are my fellow conservatives, my fellow gun owners, my fellow patriots, don't take the bait with what's coming. What they're praying and craving, and there's going to be people dressed up in MAGA stuff. They're going to be supplied with all that in the protests and riots that are coming. I guarantee you. And the media is going to try and paint it like these are all these Trump people losing their minds. And it won't be. So I'm begging you, please don't take that bait. And if you actually see people on there, go, oh, well, I better get out there too.
Ooh, don't take the bait.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You're fantastic. I've been a fan of yours for several years now, ever since you came onto my radar. And I want to see you thrive and prosper. And thank your wife for me for making this happen. This is Sheriff Richard Mack, CSPOA.org. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll see you soon, man.
It was a pleasure. Go be on Steve Bannon's show. Tell him I said howdy.
I will. Thanks. We'll see you soon. And I want to be back with you, too.
You don't know who I am.
We'll do a longer one. Next time we'll do a longer one.
All right, sir. Thank you. Fantastic. What an absolute honor getting to have him on. And you want to help this show. There's a couple of ways you can do it. One is buying American-made products at a company that's family-owned and operated, patriotic family, Christian family. And they, for over 30 years now, they don't advertise. It's all word of mouth. People like me who are on board and buying online and fire the big corporations, fire the big box stores. Don't let them ever corral you and control you like that again. It doesn't matter what the supply side is going on. It doesn't matter if unions are going on strike and all the shelves are bare. You're going to be getting everything you need online. There's only one place I know of, over 400 products, and they're big on American made because they make most of it themselves. And if not, they source it from the United States of America, local suppliers, farmers, ranchers, including food, yes, grass-fed beef. Anything you need for your body, inside and outside, anything you need for your home, including, I love the laundry detergent. I use that about that much, does an entire load, little tiny cap like that. And it doesn't have fillers, doesn't have all this other junk in it. They're really into naturally derived. And that's freedomswitchusa.com/LEE, my middle name Lee. freedomswitchusa.com/Lee. What have you got to lose? Especially now with what Sheriff Mack and I were just talking about. You better be prepared. You better be prepared. And also venmo.com/DoNotTalk. You want to help contribute and make this show continue. I sure would appreciate the help right now because frankly, financially, I'm not cutting it right now. But like I said, I'm no Steve Bannon. But you want to you like the show and you tolerate me, but you like the guests I have on, you can help. Venmo.com/DoNotTalk. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America, but most importantly, America bless God.